Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the S.H.Figuarts Super Saiyan Kefla from Dragon Ball Super. Now, Kefla was a pretty short-lived character, but I feel like they made a pretty big impression on the series as a whole, and I think that that's for a few reasons. So first off, Kale and Kefla are the first real, female Super Saiyans we ever saw in Dragon Ball, which is pretty cool. Kale was also, at the time, the first sort of canon appearance of that bulked-up Super Saiyan legendary form that Broly from the original Broly movies sort of popularized, and then they are also the first female Potara fusion Super Saiyan. So it's kind of interesting to have them and have them as part of the Tournament of Power, even if the arc itself was a little messy or drawn out at times. Kefla was just an important part in that, and I think plays a very pivotal role because they're pretty much the reason why Goku unlocks Ultra Instinct, or at least a major part of the reason why he unlocks Ultra Instinct. And Goku's fight against Kefla is pretty damn cool, especially the finale to it. And this is also probably the only, or one of the only, figures of Kefla out there. It's a bit of a shame that there isn't a larger range of products for her, and it'd be nice if we got, say, Califa and Kale at some point, but it is what it is. There aren't a whole lot of Dragon Ball Super characters in general, and there are very few in the Tournament of Power. So taking a quick look at the box, it is a standard S.H.Figuarts box, so clear window into the front and promo images along the sides and back, and you can get a bit of an idea of what Kefla comes with because they might be a small figure, but this is a chunky box. So taken out of the box, you can see Kefla comes with 3 faces and 3 energy effects. So there's a separate ball energy effect for one of her hands, as well as this sort of charged up Destructo Disc looking energy that becomes like that weird multicolored beam that she fires at Goku. She also comes with a bunch of different hands and folded arm accessories. So it's a little bit of a shame that you can't separate the effect part from her, but I think it makes sense because she's the only one that ever used a power that looked like this. And it's a pretty decent loadout, and I think the faces capture the character quite well, and we will be getting into all of that as the review progresses. So here she is up on a display, and she's looking pretty good. It is a fairly simple design, and it is a combination of Kale and Califa's outfit, mainly Kale's, but it is quite nice. It's just sort of like a sporty burgundy-ish top and bottom, as well as just gold braces on the forearms and boots, and this really striking green hair that's similar to Broly's, the current Super Broly's sort of activated hair, and it looks really nice. It's this good metallic green, and all of the paintwork, what little there is pretty damn good. It is a little bit hard to get the character standing because there is a lot of weight in that head. There's just so much hair, and it's such a big area that the fairly tiny and thin figure has a bit of trouble holding it all. But generally, it's not too bad. So we'll do a quick size comparison. So here she is next to Ultra Instinct Goku, and you can get a bit of an idea of the scaling of the character. So she is shorter than a standard S.H.Figuarts, but her hair kind of makes her up to par with most others. But generally, this is a brand new mold, or a slightly modified mold off of the Bulmas that they've done in the past, or the androids. I'm not quite sure because I've never handled the androids and I haven't played around enough with Bulmas to really know how much is borrowed or what's similar here. But moving right along to posability, she has a ball joint at the head, which allows for a bit of side to side and forward and back. The arms can move out that far unassisted, and they can rotate all the way around without too much issue. There is an upper arm swivel, as well as a bend at the elbow, and a ball hinge at the wrist. All of these are quite small and feel quite flimsy. There is a butterfly joint, so they can move their arms forward pretty far. There's a ball joint at the waist, which allows for a decent amount of movement. I think there's one at the chest as well, but I couldn't get it to activate. They can kick forward that far and back barely any at all because of the sculpted butt. There is a bend at the knee, as well as a pivot at the ankle and bend at the toes. The legs are a little lacking, especially since the thigh swivel is kind of just based on the ball joint holding it all together. and they can't really do the splits that well. So it's okay posability. Because everything's so small, it does feel very fragile, and I was scared I was going to break the figure multiple times. In terms of accessories, we have 3 faces. So there's a sort of determined smiling face as the standard out of the box face. There is a teeth gritted angry face, and a mouth open shouting face. And that's pretty much it for the faces. Not a huge range, but you can get a decent amount out of them, and they are detailed very nicely and do carry personality with them, which I quite like. And with those and the effect parts, you can get a decent amount of poses out of her, even if her posability itself is a bit limited. The energy effect parts fit right in as any other hand, because the hand is already attached to it. And it takes a little bit of effort to get it balanced just right, because they do weigh down the arms a bit, but generally it's pretty good. And she pairs well with Ultra Instinct Goku and realistically any other Dragon Ball figure. It's fun making little displays with them, especially reenacting when Goku blasted her with the Kamehameha. But it is a very colourful and fun figure. I will say swapping out the folded arms accessory was a bit annoying. I was quite sure I was going to break the figure multiple times, and I'm just not a fan of the way they did it. It is just a very small and fragile looking peg. But it did ultimately slide on just fine. I was just scared the whole time. And the figure itself is pretty alright. It's nothing too crazy, but it does capture the character quite well, and it is the only Kefla figure that we have in Figuarts, and realistically probably the only one we'll get. I'd like them to do a little bit more stuff from Tournament of Power, or like just a little bit more representation of characters, especially Saiyans from that arc. Like they could do Cabba even if he's not that important. They could do Frost just to round out the Frieza race. They could do Kale and Califa as well, especially Kale transformed. But there's a lot they can do, but whether or not they will do it is another thing. And generally this is a pretty good figure and would fit in with most super displays and especially Tournament of Power displays. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.